Welcome to Risk Watch. I'm Jonathan Ferguson. Regulatory scrutiny of fair lending is heating up. Last fall, the CFPB issued a semi-annual report outlining areas that indicate heightened fair lending risk. What should be included in your financial institution's fair lending risk assessment to avoid sending up a flare to your regulator in its search for fair lending violations? Here to explain is Jane Pannier of AffirmX. Jane?
Thanks, Jonathan. While there hasn't yet been a huge wave of major penalties being assessed to financial institutions in the area of fair lending, the regulatory agencies do want financial institutions to be proactive about ensuring that they're in compliance with the fair lending requirements. Before conducting a full-blown fair lending audit, it's prudent to begin with a fair lending risk assessment to see if there are any red flags that suggest that such an audit is necessary. Here are 6 key areas you don't want to miss in your fair lending risk assessment. The first is environment, including supervisory matters. Here you'll want to review your position relative to external factors, which could include your regulator, your member or customer base, and so on. Also review data such as prior examination reports and reports you've received from other external sources. One good available resource for this area of review is the Office of the Comptroller of the Currency, which provided several very good checklists for compliance in its full text of its rule. Second is retail presence and marketing strategy. Relevant areas here include deposit and lending strategies, growth patterns, and how your financial institution approaches its market segment. There are several things you need to make sure your marketing materials do not do. For example, you shouldn't state or use photos conveying race or ethnicity in a manner that would make a member of a protected class feel unwelcome to apply for credit, or provide financial incentives for loan officers to steer or place applicants in non-traditional products or higher risk or higher rate products. The third key area is credit administration. This section should focus on your institution's policies and approach to lending, with emphasis on credit decisioning, pricing, and applicant notifications. Some questions to ask during this review include the following. Are underwriting practices clear, objective, and generally consistent with industry standards? Is pricing within reasonably confined ranges with guidance linking variations to risk and/or cost factors? Does management monitor the nature and frequency of any exceptions to its standards? Are denial reasons accurately and promptly communicated to applicants whose loans are denied? Are there clear and objective standards for referring applicants to subsidiaries, affiliates, or other lending channels within the bank or credit union, to classifying applicants as prime or subprime borrowers, or to deciding what kinds of alternative loan products should be offered or recommended to applicants? Are loan officers required to document any deviation from the rate sheet or underwriting requirements? And lastly, does management monitor consumer complaints alleging discrimination in loan pricing or underwriting? The fourth area is exception management. Here you'll want to evaluate your institution's exceptions in decisioning, pricing, and the setting of loan terms. Analyze the tracking of exceptions, the review of exceptions, and the impact on fair lending for both direct and indirect lending channels. The fifth key area is considering the role of third parties in the lending process. To the extent applicable, financial institutions should identify all third parties involved directly or indirectly in the lending cycle, from marketing to servicing and collections. They should further perform an analysis of the risks associated with those third parties through direct activities on behalf of your financial institution or through the third party's own activities that may impact your institution's fair lending performance. The sixth and last key area is technical compliance. Review the technical requirements associated with fair lending, including a sampling of your institution's come-to-submission accuracy, fair lending related disclosures, and an analysis of the handling of non-funded applications. In its report last fall, the CFPB called out a pattern of factors that time and time again indicate a heightened fair lending risk. Here are a few warning signs the CFPB identified, which means these are areas you'll want to keep an eye on as well. weak or non-existent fair lending compliance management systems, underwriting and pricing policies that consider prohibited bases in a manner that violates ECOA or presents a fair lending risk, discretionary policies without sufficient controls or monitoring to prevent discrimination, inaccurate HMDA data, and noncompliance with Reg B's adverse action notification requirements. While we've hit the highlights, there is much more to be aware of when it comes to conducting a fair lending risk assessment. But going through the exercise can help make sure your institution stays ahead of the game the next time it undergoes a compliance examination.
Thanks, Jane. For more information regarding how best to conduct a fair lending risk assessment, or to contact Jane, please visit riskinbox.com/resources. I'm Jonathan Ferguson for RiskWatch. Thanks for watching.